You're listening to the Complete Human podcast, hosted by co-founders Jana Breslin and Evan DeMarco. We share authentic conversations about wellness, longevity, personal growth, and biooptimization, along with inspiring stories that encourage community and social responsibility. We hope you enjoy this episode. Mental fortitude is a necessary element of success. Mental fortitude is defined as the ability to focus on and execute solutions when in the face of adversity or uncertainty. If we break under pressure, if we lose patience with the process we are being challenged with, it can easily drive us to quit prematurely.
Is that a premature evacuation?
Evacuation.
So do you guys remember the movie Rudy starring Sean Astin about a Notre Dame football player who spends his entire collegiate career on the practice squad? His one and only goal is to suit up and run out of the tunnel at the end of the game. By all accounts, Rudy wasn't a great athlete. He was not the biggest or the strongest. He didn't have some unique ability that made him stand out on the football field. But yet, at the end of the movie, the players all walk into the coach's office, drop their jerseys on the desk, and say, "For Rudy." Now, this is interesting, right? So I actually met Sean Astin at a race. He's a really fascinating guy and one that I'd like to get on a show. He has a charity called Run Third. And he started this as a Twitter handler because actually he's a marathon runner. You'd never guess that because, he's a little thick. Sorry, Sean. But really what he decided to do was that he runs first for himself. He runs second for his family. And then he started this whole Twitter handle called Run Third. And he would run third for other people. So people would send in like, run for my mom who's got leukemia, run for my dad.
That's nice.
Really an interesting, fascinating guy. So I met him at the Hollywood Half Marathon. Just a really cool guy, and we got to talk about his experience and filming Rudy and what it's like to have that culture there, especially in Notre Dame where they eat, sleep, and shit football. So he
Ouch.
met
Shit football.
Shit footballs. Owie.
That visual.
Yeah. Anyway, fascinating guy. So. But at the end of it, what we find out is Rudy's gift was mental fortitude. See, in spite of all of the obstacles in his path, he never wavered in his commitment to the team and his own unique goal. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Oh God, we gotta
watch that one.
We gotta Rudyize you.
So in the book Talent is Overrated, author Jeffrey Colvin chronicles the habits of high performers, and mental fortitude is really the backbone of that. Can a person get out of bed and deliberately endeavor day after day? When we study people like Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning, we see the success as a culmination of very specific practices.
So each year, approximately 1,300 cadets join the freshman class at the United States Military Academy at West Point. During their first summer on campus, cadets are required to complete a series of brutal tests. This summer initiation program is known internally as Beast Barracks. Beast Barracks is deliberately engineered to test the very limits of cadets' physical, emotional, and mental capacities. Now, very similar to what we learned when we interviewed Dave Castro, who's a Navy SEAL, the SEALs kind of have the same concept, right? So in BUDS, their fourth week of BUDS is called Hell Week, aptly named for the grueling physical and mental challenges recruits endure over the course of like 5 days. So what I found out in my research is that basically it's 20 hours a day of physical training and 4 hours of sleep. So
Ouch.
But now this is going to be something we're excited about, is that could be very similar to what we do in Patagonia in a year.
Evan is trying to sign us up for Eco Challenge, which is in Patagonia. So
yeah,
we're going to need some real mental fortitude for that one.
Totally. Mm-hmm. And luckily we now have the tools to do that. So numerous studies have been done on these military elite, including the work of Angela Duckworth, a researcher at the University of Pennsylvania, who found something very interesting when she began tracking the cadets at West Point. You see, like Rudy, it wasn't strength or smarts or leadership potential that accurately predicted whether or not a cadet would finish Beast Barracks. Instead, it was grit, mental fortitude, the perseverance and passion to achieve long-term goals that made the difference.
In every area of life, from your education to your work to your health, it is your amount of grit or mental fortitude that predicts your level of success more than any other factor we can find. In other words, talent is overrated. While no singular principle is more important than the others in the complete human journey, mental fortitude is often the greatest predictor of success. We have spent a great deal of time researching high performers, and mental fortitude is a foundational characteristic found amongst them all. There are no outliers. And as we peeled back the layers, we found that mental fortitude really boiled down to a series of habits. The complete human mental fortitude principle is outlined in these steps.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Drum roll. Ba-da-da-da-da. So step 1, define clear goals and define the win. Connect with a purpose. So in the 1980s, General Electric implemented a system of SMART goals for the company. And while then CEO Jack Welch said he felt it contributed to the stock tripling in 8 years, SMART goals can have a darker underbelly if done improperly. I think you can actually attest to this because you own GE stock, right?
That hurts just hearing that, I will say.
It hasn't tripled in the last 8 years.
No, it's tripled the opposite way.
So I actually ended up doing this consultation contract for a in-hospital newborn photography company, and they were looking for some help. And the CEO at the time, or the head of sales at the time, was all about SMART goals. And when I first heard that, I remember reading a Harvard Business Review of SMART goals done on GE, and it's a cautionary tale, right? And here's kind of why, and this is probably one of the reasons that your stock is somewhat underperformed. I would just sell it.
Right. I know I'm working on it.
Okay. So what we found is that high performers use SMART goals, but not as a way of crossing things off of a list, also known as the to-do list mood repair. See, we all love crossing things off a list as it makes us feel productive. The complete human mental fortitude principle combines stretch goals and SMART goals. SMART goals support the stretch goal. So we often say that we want to live to be 150 or beyond. In fact, we've said that a number of times on this podcast, and you had one of your followers comment that we needed to stop saying that because it was Dave Asprey's thing.
Correct.
Well, I'm sorry, follower, but that's just simply not true, right? I mean, let's look at the Holy Grail or the Fountain of Youth, Dorian Gray, the Sorcerer's Stone.
I've wanted to live forever since I was young. So this is not new. This is not a new concept here.
Immortality has been the desire of humanity since we first crawled out from underneath a rock, right? Like this is not a new thing. And as we discussed, the desire for a longer lifespan comes out of our desire for a longer health span where we can continue to educate and inspire real change. That lifespan of 150 years would be the stretch goal. The SMART goals are what support that. And so SMART goals are very specific. They're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're time-bound.
So let's break these down. The first one is to make it specific. In the realm of biooptimization, these can be very concrete goals for diagnostic tests. I want my cholesterol to be X, my blood pressure to be Y, my heart rate variability to be Z. Your goal should be measurable. I want to be healthier is a goal, but not specific enough and certainly hard to measure. If we use the example of living to 150 as the goal, we know that certain factors like pulse wave velocity and cholesterol impact that goal. I want to have a 170 total cholesterol level is a measurable goal.
What is your cholesterol?
I feel like it could be a little better probably these days. We just did it. What was mine?
I think yours was like 190. 170 is the average for someone.
We're supposed to be the pillars of health over here.
Now, here's something, but total cholesterol is a great conversation, and we should actually talk to a lipid specialist on the show because total cholesterol really is not necessarily the great indicator of what your cholesterol or your artery situation is going through. So you could have total cholesterol of something that's above 200 or above 220, but depending on what your HDL, LDL, cholesterol ratio is, you could still be very healthy. And what we find is people who take a lot of polyunsaturated fatty acids or eat a lot of fish, they might have a higher cholesterol number, but their ratios still indicate that they're fairly healthy.
Right. So check out Complete Human Fish Oil.
Yes. Today's episode is brought to you by...
That was not planned. But
no, it wasn't. See, we do well with the script off script. So the second one is achievable. Now, this is a big mistake that we make when goal setting. It's okay to have big, wow, holy shit ideas. In fact, these are the stretch goals, right? Elon Musk has become the modern-day rock star by constantly making his big, wow, holy shit ideas public. But keep in mind that he didn't start talking about colonizing Mars until he had a few wins under his belt. Let's also not forget that he's blown up a few rockets along the way. You see, when you're an eccentric billionaire, you can make all the crazy goals you want, but for now, eat the elephant one bite at a time. Living to 150 is the stretch goal, and it may or may not be achievable. Getting the 170 cholesterol is. So they should also be realistic. Can you really achieve this goal? Is running the 2 minute and 45-second mile a goal? Yes, it is. Are you going to accomplish it? Probably not. And if you do, I will certainly apologize in public on this show. Mental fortitude is perseverance in the face of overwhelming obstacles and odds, but goals still have to be realistic. Otherwise, you're going to get discouraged. And so they also need to be time-bound. Long timelines stop the most important element in goal setting, and that's momentum. Small goals accomplished in quick succession leads to momentum, and momentum is everything in life. Without it, we're just treading water waiting for the zombie apocalypse, or in this case, 2020.
Yes. Exactly.
I heard aliens are coming next week. Is that
just screw this year?
Screw this year? Yes. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about this too, because everybody keeps saying that, but my big concern is that 2021 is probably going to be
not that much better.
Not that much better. Yeah.
I
So,
agree.
but anyway, so let's get back to this, the zombie apocalypse.
And mental fortitude.
Alien invasion. So momentum takes us closer to the stretch goal, and accomplishing the SMART goal is what gives us that momentum. So if 170 is your target cholesterol level, and you're currently at 300, getting to 170 in 6 months probably isn't realistic. But setting a 6-month goal to get to get your cholesterol to 250 is realistic. You see, without a destination and a rudder, people are just bobbing about in the ocean, aimlessly wandering from one calamity to the next. Again, we call that 2020.
Exactly. So did you hear about that new car smell of a Tesla?
No.
I've heard it has more of an Elon Musk.
Oh, God.
Isn't that good?
That's good. I picked a hell of a year to quit drinking.
You brought up Elon, and I love a Tesla, so.
And now we have Elon's Musk.
Elon's Musk. Anyway, the step number 2 is to create an efficient path. So Steve Jobs was famous for the New Balance sneakers and the black turtleneck. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same thing almost every single day. High performers often face something called decision fatigue, where every little decision from what to wear to what company to buy causes mental fatigue. Eliminate that by standardizing a wardrobe or just maybe go naked.
I don't see the problem with that.
It's natural, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly, if we're thinking about how we came into this world, I mean, if we come out of mom perfectly, we're not wearing clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I certainly hope not.
Right. That'd be a little weird. Anyway, so one thing we found in looking at all the research was that high performers took care of the nasty stuff first thing in the morning, while others put it off until later in the day. If you have reports that are supposed to get done every day, and that's the one part of your job that you hate, and you put that off until the last possible moment, the stress of having something you don't like loom over you all day begins to perpetually impact your energy. High performers get the shit done that they want to do. They do it first, and then they don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. So, I mean, goals.
I actually learned this one from back when I was working on Wall Street. That was kind of the thing. Like, I had these reports that I hated to do, and I would put it off until the end of the day. So I would come in and I would do all of the things that I really enjoyed about my job first, and then that reporting just loomed over. And finally, I had a great boss who just said, get it out of the way first. Then the rest of your day's awesome. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. It makes so much more sense.
It makes a lot of sense, but it's these are some of the things that just people just don't think about. It's not it's not intuitive for us. So that's definitely one of the great ones when we talk about.
We like to do what feels comfortable.
Yes,
but maybe that's not the best thing for our mental strength.
Totally.
Exactly.
So step 3: eliminate distractions. No excuses. Mental fortitude is about habits, not your motivation. Let's be honest. Our phones represent the single greatest distraction ever, period. History of mankind, period. So let's get into this, right? Make an estimate of how many times you are distracted during the average day on your phone. Now take that number and multiply it by 25. That's how many minutes of concentration you're losing. It takes an average of about 25 minutes, or 23 minutes and 15 seconds to be exact, to return to the original task after an interruption. And this is according to Gloria Mark, who studies digital distraction at the University of California in Irvine.
So step 4 is accountability. It's so important to know that there is strength in unity and that you are not alone. It's great to find a mentor and a few cheerleaders. Find your tribe. This word gets thrown around a lot, especially in the world of social media. People think that they have a tribe or good friends that exist through some digital connection. But ask yourself this: when you're broken down on the side of the road at 2 a.m., who are you going to call? Chances are it's not some social connection that you've never actually met in person. Cultivating a group of friends and a tribe is a process, and when you have that tribe, you should be able to say to them, this is the path that I'm on, and as my friend, I'd like you to hold me accountable to my goals. These are individuals that you have true and honest interpersonal relationships with, not social media acquaintances that we think are close friends.
Makes a lot of sense.
Makes
So
a lot
this is actually a question that I posed to you, right? Having so many people that follow you on Instagram, is it easy to fall into the trap of thinking, well, you've got this tribe, you've got this community, when in fact, I mean, 700,000 people, 1 million people, like you don't know any of these people.
I don't. But like, I guess having a following for a few years, there have been a few that I've gotten closer with just because I've built up relationships and helped people and answered questions and stuff like that. But
are any of these people the ones that you're going to call at 2 a.m. is when you're broken down on the side of the road?
I'm going to call Dad.
And then you're going to get jokes.
Right, Dad. Help.
He's going to tell you about Elon's Musk. See, like, it's funny. This is one of my big pet peeves, and I see it all the time on Instagram, is that everybody always refers to their community or their tribe. I'm like, tribe is a close-knit group of people. I mean, a tribe is something that develops over time. It's interpersonal relationships, as you just said. And so there's this misconception that people can have a community or a tribe, and that's just simply not the case. And I think that as we talk about developing mental fortitude, as we talk about it in the context of this, having a tribe is someone that you know where they live. You've seen them physically. You've talked to them. You know their Musk. It's these are the people that you develop relationships with that you can ask to hold you accountable. And personal accountability is one of the biggest elements in mental fortitude. I always think about Peyton Manning. We talked about him earlier, but after his neck surgeries, after pretty almost career-ending injuries, he came back with the Denver Broncos and ended up winning 2 Super Bowls. And what they always said is he was the hardest worker. He was the first one in the office, the last one to leave. He studied the tape. I mean, he was just that guy that had that mental fortitude. And in spite of all of the physical limitations, he still accomplished, some pretty impressive things. Absolutely. And he did that because he had a close-knit tribe. And you talk about the teammates, and like they just trusted him. They loved him. That's a tribe. Instagram, not a tribe. Sorry, Instagrammers. All right, so let's move on from my rant. I've got a lot of those lately. Self-evaluation and self-control. Let go of limiting beliefs and the all or nothing thinking. And this is one of the things that we really see now is the all or nothing thinking that can lead to some major deficiencies in mental fortitude. And one thing that we learned from participating in the Fuck Up Nights event was how willing people are to really reframe failure. It's funny, like we're getting into the political season and the commercials are all over the place now. And all it is mudslinging. It's like, oh, well, you failed at this and you failed at this. Like, why are we not celebrating that? I want a leader who has failed at something because I know hopefully that they've learned from it. We need to start reframing failure. And that's where the self-evaluation and the kind of the self-control comes into play. I remember when we talked to Phil Bresnahan at the Scripps Institute and we were talking about like 3D modeling and all of that, like their method of education is fail fast. Learn what doesn't work so that you can learn what does work. And it's kind of by reframing failure, we can begin to embrace it as a necessary step towards the success we all crave. Learn to pick yourself up after setbacks. Fall down 10 times, get up 11. Mistakes are proof that you are trying. What you do after those mistakes is the real measure of grit.
On to step 6, which is mental training, skill acquisition. You learn new things, you learn from the past, and you stay flexible. Our egos often get in the way when it comes to mental fortitude, usually in the realm of saying to oneself or someone else, I don't know. But when you can happily say those words and then follow up with them by saying, but I can't wait to find out, life gets a whole lot more interesting. So never stop learning and never think that you have all the answers.
This was one of my big issues when I was in my 20s, even my 30s. Even early 40s. Oh, wait, I'm in my early 40s. But I think our ego really has a hard time with saying, I don't know. And once we move past that, once we're like, I don't know, but I can find out. I've got le googly. Or I don't know. And it's not the big, it's not the end of the world. But our egos get so caught up with this idea that we have to have the answers. And it's just simply not the case. But if we sharpen our sword all the time, if we're constantly learning, if we're constantly evolving, then that's the whole path that we're on anyway. And that's what mental fortitude is, right? It's not having all the answers. It's knowing that you can get some of them.
Totally agree.
Good. I'm glad we're in alignment on that one.
Yes.
So as we talked, Angela Duckworth, the researcher found in researching beast barracks, and as we've learned from breeding talent is overrated, as we've discovered from researching high performers from the dawn of time, mental fortitude is a clear predictor of success. More importantly, mental fortitude can be developed. It can be cultivated, and it can be expanded. Build a foundation of mental fortitude, and the complete human journey gets a lot more interesting.
It does.
As we're finding out.
All right, you guys, thank you for tuning into another episode of the Complete Human Podcast. Next week wraps up our final episode on the deep dive into mental fortitude with Dr. Craig Marker. So please make sure to check out the mental fortitude quiz at completehuman.com and look for other valuable tools to help build your mental fortitude.
And make sure to subscribe to Complete Human on iTunes, YouTube, or whatever platform you listen or watch, and help us spread the word by sharing our mission. So until next time, this is
Jana Breslin
and Evan DeMarco signing off.
Bye, guys.